When I think about what it was like at the beginning when all churches were asked to close by the governor because of the pandemic, I felt thrown, frankly.
I think Dad considered me the teenage tech help in the family. So when we had to go online, he reached out to me and asked me to jump on board and help.
I asked Charlie which platform she might recommend. She said Zoom, and I just ran with it.
At the beginning, things didn't go smoothly all the time. There were a lot of rough patches, maybe in the first 3-4 weeks, while people learned Zoom, while we learned what additional equipment we needed to make it work better.
A camcorder recording from the back of the church. That was about as technological as we were at the time.
I think like everything during COVID, the first round of adaptions were super wacky.
And of course, as you know, we had a lot of challenges with just equipment, which computer to use, and Zoom then changed, and the computer we were using, we couldn't use anymore. And so we've had a lot of those sorts of glitches about just how to deal with the environment.
And then we switched to an iPad, and we were just uploading photos from the iPad's camera roll. And then we switched to my phone because it was the most reliable piece of technology that I think we have in this house right now.
It couldn't have been at a worse time in the sense of the church calendar, because it was before Easter. It was toward the end of Lent, and we had Palm Sunday and Easter Sunday ahead of us. Trying to figure out now, how do we do this?
Awesome. I think in the beginning, it's because we were all working with what we got. We were all kind of in it together, and no one knew what was going to happen.
It was a very challenging time. At first, yeah, it was a panic, but it was also really interesting.
When church had to shut down, Dad jumped on it so fast, and we had to pick up with a technology aspect that we had never had to use before.
For a while, I was trying to encourage John to move to a streaming environment because it's actually maybe better for just front-forward presentation, and the sound probably would have been more manageable.
But in the end, decided to stay with this in real time, more interactive online platform.
When COVID hit, it was really lovely how fast Zion community started with a Zoom service so that all could attend.
It's nice to be able to still view the worship service in real time. It's different than watching it on a recording, probably on the website. It's more in person.
So my husband and I are both on the cusp of being at risk. Zoom Church is a really great option for us because we can keep all those people that we care about safe.
And then with COVID-19 and with our wintertime conditions, ice and snow, that virtual service is good for a lot of our elderly members.
But even my daughter says, "Mom, I don't even know how to do Zoom. You do something on the computer that I don't do."
Now it's amazing to me how smoothly Zoom operates and how high quality the services are, in spite of the fact, I'm looking at them on a computer.
You tend to hear the term Zoom church, and I understand. During the pandemic, Zoom has become the Kleenex of virtual meeting tools. But here's what's cool about Zion. They're not doing Zoom church. They're doing church with Zoom. They're figuring out how to worship in a virtual space, not just watch, but worship and fellowship and serve. And more than that, they're figuring out how to do it in tandem with a live congregation, side by side, brick and mortar and virtual. Wow, that ain't easy, but they're doing it. And I get to be part of it, even though I'm 1,000 miles away. Look, I haven't darkened the door of a church in 10 years, but I'm showing up for this.
I'm so glad because it's an extension of the in-person community that we also have. Well, of course, we began by necessity doing our Sunday services online, but that evolved. The Zoom environment and the interpersonal environment within the building that we now do simultaneously, both have influenced each other and in very interesting ways.
Moving into the Zoom environment has allowed us as musicians, working with John, to streamline the order of our service, to be more intuitive, to be more creative, to be more responsive in the moment, and hopefully to be more expressive of spirit. And from the responses we've received from people, I think that people are experiencing that even when they're sitting at home on their sofa, not just, say, in the congregation.
But at the same time, we've learned about ways in which we can try to be more inclusive of the people who are joining us virtually. So we have done things like established a kind of greeting program as people come on to Zoom.
I sit next to Charlie every Sunday and I marvel at how fast her thumbs move across the screen. And I'm wondering, are you texting your friends? What are you doing? We're in church. And then I realized she's actually welcoming everyone into the service.
There still are things that I can view and take part in. I really like the fact that, first of all, that I hear John's message, and also the sharing of the peace, be able to see faces with my friends.
We've been able, I think, to even enhance the music experience because of having to go virtual.
I mean, my sense of what the church is about, or what the message is all about, is the love is everywhere. It's about relationships, but it's in everything and in every situation.
And the music, in my mind, continues to develop. We continue to learn new hymns. We continue to hear new compositions or new pieces of music as Tom and Mira develop them and learn them. And it's been fantastic, and it continues to operate that way.
What do I like about the music? The hymn singing. Look, I'm going to be brutally honest with you. I suck at singing. And because of that, I'm self-conscious when I'm singing in the pew with a lot of other people around me. Can't help it. But on Zoom, because I'm muted, I'm Pavarotti. In all seriousness, for the first time in my life, I'm connecting with how singing is part of worship.
We've invited people to find bread and wine in their house and to join us with communions.
Another great thing about Zoom related to church services is there's a whole community of Zoom worshipers, and I almost always see the same names week after week, some of whom I've never even met, some of whom aren't members of Zion but participate on a regular basis, some of whom aren't even in the state of Minnesota.
Sometimes they're traveling on vacation, maybe they're relocated somewhere, maybe they're sick at home. But with Zoom, now they're able to tune in and feel like they're part of the live service.
And I think the church has done a remarkable job with John's leadership in being creative so that we've continued outreach, so that we've continued programs in the momentum of programs that had started pre-COVID.
We've had an Enneagram group meeting at church for several months, well, way over a year. And we were worried that we'd have to quit. And with Zoom, we really haven't had to quit, and we haven't had to talk through masks, which has been great.
Wednesday night, what started as a Bible study was a good place to start learning new technologies with how to use our computers and how to use the internet. And it has really meant a lot to me.
I enjoyed the Bible study, which involved into the show and tell. It's great to meet people I've never seen before and getting to know people that I do know, and that enjoyed it very much.
I'm really not a talker. I'm really not. Now, if you put me on the pulpit, I would not know what to say. But it was good for me to explain about my knitting, to talk about what I'm doing. And it was good for me to listen to other people, how their show and tell. And it's important. It was important. And we have such a good group.
We still do coffee time after the Sunday service, just not in the fellowship hall, but we do it on Zoom, which has been a real learning experience and fun.
Zion Lutheran Church Council meetings turned to a virtual platform. We were a little uncomfortable with it at first, but it turned out to be better. We found there was no commute to the church. Our members could join from anywhere if they're traveling or at the cabin. Meetings seem quicker. They last less than an hour.
If you count the Zoom component, the audience watching over Zoom with the people in the sanctuary for Sunday services, we are having more people worship than we have pre-COVID, which I think is a fantastic thing.
When I think of Zion, when I view everything that Zion does, however well we do it, it's always rooted in this sense of community. And I think, honestly, in our culture, we're in the midst of a crisis of community. And the pandemic has just exposed it, even in harsh relief, that we don't have the kinds of community that, say, our grandparents did and our great-grandparents did and people in other cultures enjoy. We're far more individualistic, and so now especially atomized. So I see Zion as bringing a gift of community no matter what we do, whether it's feeding the hungry, providing free concerts to the community, creating Arts on the Fawn, doing a worship service with great music and real spirit. What we're really doing is bringing people together in a way that was modeled and taught by Christ. So Zoom is actually in a really unexpected way helping us to do that even more broadly than we could before.
Community is a really important aspect of my faith, and Zion has always been really rich in creating community, hosting barbecues, connecting to the local businesses, supporting their neighbors. And it's really important to me that I can stay connected to that community through Zoom.
So this summer was a really chaotic time in our neighborhood, really bringing to a point how divided we are as a country, as a neighborhood, within our families and in other communities. And that tension was at Zion as well. And it was really comforting to be able to go to attend Zion Zoom church and not hide from those issues, but to be able to learn more about them and understand them in a deeper way because of attending Zoom church.
I'm really proud of the fact that we're providing or planning to provide accessibility, physical accessibility for those in the community to our church through ramps, lifts, and other means so that they can come physically and attend. Also now with Zoom, we can provide virtual accessibility. So if you're not in the community, you're traveling on vacation, homesick, you still can attend Zion.
When I think of our senior members, I think going online and adapting with technology has to have been so helpful, not only for the pandemic, but for people who may not be able to leave their house or even a hospital room. Zion has always been such a helpful community, and I think this is just another way for us to reach out and help people who need us and need Zion.
With Zoom, there's the connections with my community and my family. Sometimes I go to church on Zoom and my granddaughter is there, and it's something we can share. Occasionally my son is there. He may be traveling, and so he can go to church on Zoom. And I get to see him.
As you know, sometimes seniors don't want to try out new technology and whatnot.
You know, and I think half the problem is people like me, I'm afraid to press a button because I'm afraid it's going to bite me.
Blows my mind what you can do with the technology with Zoom.
It's a sense of kind of home in a time when we're all in very, very different places, in very different mindsets, and everyone's really going through it right now. So I just feel really grateful to have that community.
And who would have thought, from my perspective at least, who would have thought pre-COVID to reach out to people by using Zoom or some other service to televise or to get the service, Sunday service, out to other people. I think it's just a great tool that I hope survives when COVID's all over.
The moment I guess I really saw that this could be more than just a stopgap measure for the pandemic was when I realized how many people were starting to tune in via Zoom who otherwise would not be in our community. Specifically, they were afforded the opportunity to be part of our community, and they found it life-giving.
The thing that is important about it to me is that I think the thing about faith is the matter of sharing it. And there's a sense with Zoom and the way I can be with family and the way I can be in church, I can share faith and I can receive what other people have to share with me. And that's really important.